How are you lovely people doing today? My name is John, and today I'm bringing you another episode of the Zombie Storyline Q&A, the series in which you guys can ask any question you'd like about the zombie storyline and leave it down below. It can be a big question, a small question, or a complex question. It does not matter. I am more than happy to answer your questions, but it is imperative that you guys leave questions down below, otherwise this series cannot work, so make sure you do. Without further ado, let's begin. The first question I have for you guys comes from Robbie Hunt, and he wants to know, why do we hear the Weasel mention Nikolia in Mob of the Dead? So for those of you guys that don't know, there is a random audio quote that will play in Mob of the Dead that sounds a bit like this.
Nikolai, 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 Nikolai. Why do I keep hearing that name?
We're not exactly sure who the Weasel is referring to in this quote. Of course, the only Nikolai we can point it to is Nikolai Belinsky, one of the 4 original characters that we've played with in Zombies, although they shouldn't know each other. Nikolai, of course, lives in the Soviet Union, while the Weasel lives in the United States. They're continents apart in countries that are bitter enemies. Meanwhile, they do live in the same time period, but it doesn't quite make sense, especially when you consider the fact that the Weasel is in a type of purgatory. This does bring up the theory, though, that what if Nikolai and the 4 original characters are also in some form of purgatory, and this is a way to allude to the fact. Now, personally, I don't believe in this theory. I think they're just alluding to Nikolai just to throw a little reference at the original 4 characters, because you have to remember, at the time that Mob of the Dead was created, we had yet to see the original 4 characters in Black Ops 2, and everybody was itching to play as them again, and this is just Treyarch teasing us. The next question I have for you guys comes from Tyler Fody, and he wants to know, on Origins, what is the Panzer's story, the guy in the suit? Is he important? I would argue that the Panzer Soldat is not important. For those of you that don't know, the Panzer Soldat is the boss that you will see on Origins. He is the guy with the claw and the flamethrower. We don't really know too much about him, although we have learned a couple of things from some quotes. We do know that Richthofen created the Panzer Soldat suit, and that the person operating the suit was infected by a zombie during a dig for element 115. We can from this conclude that he is not a weapon of war, and rather he is a tool used to harvest element 115 from the earth. And this does make a little bit of sense because he has the claw, although this does not exactly explain why he has a flamethrower on him. I guess that's just there to make our life a little bit more difficult. Overall, though, he is not very important to the storyline. He is just a boss to make our lives harder. The final question I have comes from Inoculated Weenock, and he wants to know, why does the pyramid on Moon have to be filled with zombie souls when doing the Easter egg? The pyramid on Moon has to be filled with zombie souls because it needs more energy to be able to open up. Richthofen once mentioned that energy is in all things and flows throughout the universe. When we kill zombies, that energy is released in the form of a green gas. It then went into the canisters to fill up the pyramid. We've done this multiple times in several zombie Easter eggs. It is always a way to form energy, and we see this in multiple situations where we're trying to power the pylons. It's really just a way to garnish energy. There isn't really too much to it. Anyway guys, that's about it for the zombie storyline. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them down below, and I'll try to get to as many as I can. Have a great day, please subscribe, and bye.